All right. All right. What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? Jason Pantana. Excited to be live. I'm actually kind of geeking out. This is my first time using the StreamYard software. And knock on wood, so far it's going pretty darn well. It's got a lot of cool features. So I'm getting used to it. So bear with me today as we go through some technical difficulties. But I want to just say first and foremost, welcome. I'm super thrilled everybody's on here. If you would, if you're watching, please don't be a stranger. Please leave a comment. Let me know you're here. What's going on, Heather Klompmaker? I was just talking about you, about how awesome that post on Instagram you just posted was. Heather's awesome. What's on, Sia? Just excited to talk to everybody today. And I want to give you kind of the lay of the land of what I'm thinking here. I'm calling this stream Marketing Stream, and it's a Q&A. And my intention is to do it weekly or at least weekly. I'll probably do it at various times. But here's where this kind of came from, just to give you some context as folks are jumping on and starting to watch. I've been getting a lot of messages, which I love, from folks who are part of the Tom Ferry coaching ecosystem, from outside that ecosystem. They've been sending me Instagram messages, Facebook messages, and I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? A lot of these are pretty technical in nature, and it would probably be beneficial to a lot of people if I could cover some Q&A. Now, I don't presume to have all the answers. Sometimes I think of myself as a professional Googler, where I'm just Googling the questions sometimes too, but my goal here is to offer you some constructive, very specific marketing advice, just because right now there's a lot of time where people are stepping up their game. They're doubling down on their digital strategy. So I want to start answering questions. So the lay of the land here is this going to be questions. Amor, what's going on? Elise, what's going on? So again, I'm going to do this as often as I possibly can. I'm just going to probably mostly, at least for now, I'm going to use Instagram stories to kind of facilitate getting those questions. But also, if you have questions for future episodes, drop me a note, put a comment here. I'll try to answer those questions here in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. I'm dual broadcasting or multicasting, as they say. Send me a message on Facebook, on Instagram. It would be best if you put that message on Facebook to my business page. I'm much more likely to respond on my business page than I am my personal profile. And then also a DM on Instagram is a great space for it too. I'm going to try to knock out as many questions as I'm capable of doing. So I hope everybody's having an awesome day. And with that, I want to use our time intelligently. I want to be judicious with our time and start getting into questions. So I got a whole bunch of them. Let me try to figure out how this software works. First one that comes up here is from Steve. You should all see it on the screen. Steve Schwab asked, is it really necessary to upload a video directly to Facebook and not link it from YouTube? What are the downsides? So let me kind of convert the question or paraphrase the question. And I'm going to leave it on the screen while I talk about it, just so you can see what it is. Should I, if I create a video and then I post that video on YouTube, is it okay, not okay to take the URL, the link on YouTube, and then just when I do a post on Facebook, just copy and paste that URL from YouTube? Is that bad? Is that not bad? It's certainly easier, right? Here's the downsides. So the answer is yes, it's bad. Don't do it. Let me explain to you why. Here are the downsides. Number one, if you choose to take the URL from YouTube and just paste it inside the post on Facebook, Facebook will automatically convert it not into a video, but into a link. So it's static inside of Facebook. What that means is as people are scrolling in their feed, rather than the video auto playing, rather than being able to watch the video, they got to click a link or whatever. So it's going to be diminished in terms of the algorithm, in terms of people stopping, because we know that video is a format that people are much more likely to engage with. So that's the obvious downside. But you have to look at it from the vantage point of Facebook, because Facebook is like, what do you mean you're bringing YouTube URLs into my platform? It's my platform. And they're like, are you cheating on me with YouTube? That's how they're looking at it, right? Because Facebook wants the content. They don't want you to leave their platform and go to YouTube. Now, I get the question a lot. Does that mean it's bad to run an ad on Facebook where the ad drives to a link? No. I'm not talking about ads, but I am making a general statement to say that any piece of content on Facebook where I have a link that goes to some other website that's not Facebook is going to get diminished in terms of Facebook's algorithm, because Facebook wants to keep you there. So as far as the video piece goes, Steve, it's called native upload. Native upload means I take the same video file. It's on my hard drive in my computer, and I upload it to YouTube. I upload it as a post on Facebook so that the files live in both places. Now, I have no qualms with basically repurposing the content. The video can go on Facebook and go on YouTube as long as you take the time to upload it there directly. So let me read the question, make sure I didn't miss anything. Is it really necessary to upload the video directly to Facebook? The answer is yes, it is. All right, let's go to the next question. This question comes from Alvin. Alvin says or asks, how do we build a funnel for our listings? How do we build a funnel for our listings? I want to just first talk about what's a funnel. A funnel is a marketing term where what it means is there are stages. Think about I'm thinking about when my dad used to change the oil in our car. And he would take the oil and pour it into a funnel, and the funnel was wide at the top, and then it narrowed to kind of direct it down to the engine, I guess. I didn't actually do the work. He's the one who did the work, not me. Put it wherever it goes in the car. Not my thing. Anyways, I digress. So a funnel is something that's wide and then narrows. Narrows based upon what? Based upon intent. So a listing funnel means I am looking for people who are interested in my listing or interested in selling a property or buying a property, that there's some kind of intent to buy or sell real estate. So that's a funnel, right? So the question here is, how do we build a funnel for our listings? Meaning, how do I use my listing to try to generate, presumably, buyer leads, listing leads, or prospective buyers of the actual property, right? Could be any and or all of the above. Those are all great results. What we know is when it comes to running ads on Facebook, historically, the best performing ad always is a just listed campaign. Just listed 123 Banana Street. Click the link for all the details or something along those lines. Now, that's very crummy copy. I think you can appreciate that. But that's historically one of the best performing types. Let me just check on something real quick. I want to make sure the comments are going in. Oh, Michael Oppler says hi. See, I'm new to StreamYard, so I want to make sure this thing's working properly. What's up, Michael Oppler? All right, I'm seeing some questions come in there. That's good. Just give me some feedback too, just to make sure if I have a massive audio or visual failure because I'm using StreamYard, I'd like to know about it. Let me go back to my questions. All right, so a funnel. How do I build one with a listing? To me, the best thing is you need a landing page, especially it's most relevant now in a digital environment where everything's happening virtually. So the first thing you need, number one, is a landing page. What's a landing page? It could be the web page on my website, www.mydomain.com/123 Banana Street. It's the dedicated page where I can see photos and more media and materials and details about the subject property. Now, that is sufficiently a landing page. It's just a web page. Sometimes a landing page could entail the idea that there's a lead capture mechanism where I go to the landing page and it's trying to drive me into filling out some type of a form. So my name, my number, my email address, something along those lines, right? Doesn't have to be that way, right? So just for now, all I'm asking for, step one, is some type of a dedicated website page for your listing, a place where I'm going to drive the traffic to. And then step two, this is really simple, Alvin. I'm going to create an ad on Facebook. Now, who owns Instagram? And the answer is Facebook does. So when I make an ad inside the Facebook Ads Manager, by extension, that ad is going to go to Instagram too. So I'm including it in the mix. So for me, I'm going to create a just listed ad. It's going to say something like just listed 123 Banana Street. Click the link below to get all the details. And if you're interested, schedule a property showing virtually, or depending upon your marketplace and your current rules and regulations, perhaps that could be in person, right? So it's an ad. So I go to facebook.com/ads manager to create that ad. And I'm going to give you two options, Alvin. Option one is you're going to create a link click ad, meaning I'm going to click a button that says learn more on the ad, and it's going to direct me to that landing page. That's the first option. Now, if I use that option, I'm going to recommend that your landing page has some kind of a forced or suggested registration feature, meaning when they navigate to that web page, it's going to pop up and say, what's your email address, what's your name, what's your phone number, something along those lines. If your website does not have that, then back on the Facebook ad side, I would instead recommend what's called a lead form. So not a link click, but a lead form. A lead form ad is basically when I click that learn more button, instead of being redirected outside of Facebook, Facebook has its own built-in form, kind of like a Google form or a SurveyMonkey form, something like that, right? Its own lead capture form that when I press learn more, poof, it pops up on the screen and I can customize the questions. I can say, what's your name, what's your email, what's your phone number? And the benefit of the lead form is whatever information they already use to sign into Facebook auto-populates in the form. Now, they could backspace it and change it, but they probably won't. So there's a higher degree of certainty that I'm getting good information from a Facebook lead form. I'll pay a little bit more for it too. And I will ultimately drive fewer people to the website because they have to give me their contact information in the lead form in order that they can get the link to go to the landing page. So I gave you, basically it's two pieces. I need a web page. I need an ad that drives to that web page. I either need the ad to capture the contact info, i.e. a lead form, or I need the website to capture the contact information, name, number, email address. I hope that keeps it simple. Let's jump back to the comments, see what else we got going on. What's going on, Melissa? A lot of good people here. You guys are fun. All right, next question. I got like 10 of these. I'm going to just hustle through them. So surely you'll get some nuggets out of this. But again, I want to encourage everybody, if you have questions, put them in the comments. Send me a DM, a PM, whatever. Message them to me. And I will keep putting up Instagram stories where I'm asking for questions because I'm going to keep doing this marketing stream as often as possible. I'm committing to at least weekly. All right, next one up is from Andrea, who said, is it possible to capture leads with virtual open house? Best practice plus best way to market a virtual open house. All right, so there's a couple of questions here. I'm going to read it again. Is it possible to capture leads with a virtual open house? The short answer is 100%. Best practice, I'm going to tell you it's a Facebook lead form, in my opinion, but we'll get to that. Best way to market a virtual house. All right, here's the fun thing. Alvin's question basically is the same answer as Andrea's question. So here's what we're going to do. Virtual open house. Let's talk about ways to conduct a virtual open house first. A virtual open house could be, I've got a Matterport tour, a virtual 360 tour of the property, and I could just be directing people to the Matterport website where they can tour the home themselves. Or I may be using a service like Smart Viewing or iSpy 360 or even Zoom, whereby maybe it's a Matterport tour, but I'd like to be involved as the agent where I'm actually kind of walking through, quote unquote, walking through the property with the prospective party who's interested in buying the house, right? So what are agents doing? Some agents are using like Real Vision, which costs money, iSpy 360, it's EYE Spy 360, costs money. There's a service called smartviewing.com, and it basically allows you to have a virtual tour that you can kind of control, and people can chat and interact with you on some degree, right? That's one way of doing it. And another way of doing it is, depending upon the rules and regs in your marketplace as far as shelter at home is concerned, some agents are going into the properties with one of these, with their iPhone, and they're literally doing a Zoom meeting, or they're doing a FaceTime or something, or Google Hangouts or something like that, where people can tune in and watch. So the first question is, how are we conducting the open house? My instinct is I believe in on demand as much as possible. Yeah, as much as possible. I'm thinking through it live because we're live. I'll give you an A and B scenario. There's a thing called like an evergreen or an on-demand webinar. A lot of digital marketers use them. Basically, it's a pre-recorded webinar where they run ads all the time, and you can schedule, basically you can take the webinar every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. They can just let it run all the time. And the reason marketers will do that is because they don't want someone to say, yes, I'm interested in going to this webinar, and now they've got to wait 4 days for the next one, by which time they've lost their intention. They've moved on, right? So the on-demand evergreen type of webinar is just a pre-recorded one that rolls on a regular schedule so that more people are likely to say they want to attend and then actually go. So with that in mind, principally in mind, what I would say is when I think about like a virtual open house, I like the idea of virtual open house open now, right? It's on demand, it's evergreen. How do I do that? Well, a Matterport tour is an easy way to do that, right? Because if I have a Matterport 360 tour, or it could be a Rico Theta V tour, I've got that someplace where I can just direct the traffic to that web page. So that's one way of doing it, Andrea. And I would then do an ad on Facebook. So let's pretend it's a Matterport tour. Matterport tours are hosted on Matterport. So unless I have a landing page, and if I'm going to send people directly to the Matterport link, there is no way to get them to register unless I've got a landing page, or unless I use a lead form to be the way I drive them over. So what I would do is I would create an ad on Facebook. I would do, again, a lead form, facebook.com/ads manager, create a lead form. It will require them to fill out the contact information, just the same they would if they were coming to an open house in person. And then I get the email address, the phone number, the whatever I ask for. And then at the end of that form, still inside of Facebook, they can click a button that goes to the Matterport tour, right? So that's one way I would do it. That's an on-demand way of doing it. The other is, let's just pretend you say it's Zoom, right? And so with Zoom, it could be either I am walking around showing the property, or the seller is showing the property, or I've got Matterport and I'm screen sharing it, walking them through. So in that case, once again, I would do a lead form potentially. But what I may consider doing is, if it were Zoom, and if you're a paid user of Zoom, like the $15 a month, I think it is minimum of Zoom, there's an option to pre-schedule a meeting or a webinar. And I would do a meeting in this case, which means they can be seen and you can talk to them, right? You can pre-schedule a meeting in Zoom, and it gives you a link. And this is the link that you'll access at the time of the meeting, right? But when you do that, there's a button. If you're paying for Zoom, there's a button that says require registration. All I do is check that button in Zoom. And when I click the link to go to access that Zoom meeting, well, now it's going to have a kind of a registration wall where it says, what's your name, what's your email address? Depending upon the level you pay for in Zoom, you can customize that form, right? So if I'm doing a virtual open house on Zoom, then I have the ability to make Zoom become my landing page, and it captures the leads for me, right? So then my ad on Facebook is going to be a link click ad with one of those learn more buttons. We call that traffic, where I drive traffic from Facebook to that website. Now, again, because I'm running an ad, it's okay to direct traffic outside of Facebook. Where Facebook starts kind of crossing their arms and saying, what are you doing? Is when you're doing it organically, right? And I'm trying to drive people outside of Facebook organically. I'm not saying there aren't ever times where it's okay to do that, because let's face it, there are. But it's better when it's in an ad. I would also tell you that I would not be doing open houses by way of Facebook events right now, or Facebook events attached to Eventbrite. My feedback that I've been getting from clients and folks who are doing that is Facebook's kind of pulling that down in the feed because they don't want to promote the possibility of people meeting in person. And it's also not performing well as an ad right now. So I would not use the Facebook events feature. All right, I think I answered that in a very long-winded, verbose way. So let me just summarize it real quick. Yes, it's possible. If you do the Zoom virtual open house way, use Zoom to get the leads. If you do Matterport, where you're going straight to the Matterport tour, do a Facebook lead ad to get the leads. And that's also, by extension, the best way to market or to promote the open house is the ad on Facebook. All right, let me jump to, I got a couple of new comments. Let's see what's going on. Michael Loppler says, my open houses are always open. Click here to see an immersive 3D tour. Yeah, exactly. Always open. Virtual open house, open now. Let's see what Zach Kennedy says. Regarding your last Facebook post, can you give me some more details? All right, Zach, I'll come to that question here at the end. I've got a bunch that were pre-fab questions people submitted over the week and the weekend, and I'll come back to those as time permits. Let me go back to more questions. This one comes from, this is fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Stream along. Got a lot of questions. This one comes from Terry McKay, Realtor. When uploading your database to Facebook ads, do they allow housing ads? My assistant said no. I'll read it again. When uploading your database to Facebook ads, do they allow for housing ads? There's a lot in this question. My assistant said no, and your assistant is actually not correct. That's not true. They do. So let's reformat the question. When uploading your database, who's my database? I'm assuming this is meaning a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file, comma separated value, like an Excel spreadsheet of my database contacts. Who are they? Leads, past clients, personal friends, sphere of influence, my people, right? My database, people who have given me the permission to market to them. When uploading that list as an Excel file, which I don't know if you knew you can do that, but you can, to Facebook ads, what Terry's referring to here is the Facebook ads manager, facebook.com/ads manager. Do they allow housing ads? The short answer is yes. Now, what is a housing ad? You might be wondering. Last March, Facebook, there was a settlement between Facebook and the National Fair Housing Alliance. Facebook had been sued because they were allowing marketers to violate and market on a basis of discrimination, and they lost that lawsuit. And so over the next 6 months, there were several proposed changes or required changes Facebook had to make. And now you've seen these things called special ad categories, which they're out. Special ad categories apply to any ad related to housing, employment, or credit. I am not a lawyer. I'm certainly not an expert in fair housing. But what I would suggest, if you look at fair housing in the States, for instance, it's pretty much anything you're ever going to post. So for the most part, an agent, for instance, because it typically talks about the leasing or sale of real property and or brokerage services. And that broker, to me, I'm not trying to give you legal advice, please, I'm not. But to me, that brokerage services component means, wow, any marketing I do has got some level of directly or indirectly related to that. So a lot of agents are messaging me and saying, my ad keeps getting rejected. My ad keeps getting rejected. And I'll tell you, 90% of the time, it's because agents are not specifying that this ad falls under housing, which is one of the special ad categories. So her question is, when uploading your database contacts, can I still target even though it's under a housing ad, special ad category? And the answer is you can, but there's a caveat. And this is going to be a super technical answer. Allow me to go back in time if I could. I joined Facebook in 2008. Facebook launched in 2003. When I joined Facebook, I joined with my personal profile. I had hair down to here and it was embarrassing, right? I'm sure you all joined right around probably the same time, like 2008. Whether or not you knew it, Facebook did not launch ads until 2007. If you remember back in the very beginning of Facebook, there was a huge debate over what's the IPO look like? Are they going to make any money? How's Facebook going to make money? And then they launched their ad platform and then everybody was like, oh, they make lots of money, billions and billions. They do well. That was 2007. When I started, I had a Facebook profile. Later, I started a Facebook business page. A personal profile, I already had it, and a business page, right? And the benefit of a business page predominantly was this one gave me the ability to run ads. Now, an ad could have been as simple as I did a boosted post. In 2014, you probably didn't know this, but Facebook launched a behind-the-scenes product called the Facebook Business Manager. And what it did is it allowed businesses that were running a lot of ads, they had lots of different pages, they had employees who needed different levels of access. It allowed companies, businesses, to create a business manager, which was basically a behind-the-scenes, let's call it a CRM, right? It's not really a CRM, but it's a behind-the-scenes platform that's super powerful for running all your ads. Now, a lot of people have been running ads in the ads manager. They have for several years gone to facebook.com/ads, ADS manager, and then poof, they see this dark gray bar across the top and they're like, I have an ads account. And you do, because the moment you created that Facebook business page, as long as it was after 2007, when they launched ads, the moment you made a Facebook business page, Facebook gave you a personal ad account. Now that's confusing language, right? They gave you have a business page and they give you a personal ad account. But because of this special ad category, these changes that have happened from the fair housing lawsuit, Facebook has been stripping away some of the features and benefits of a personal ad account. It used to be that having a business manager, a business ads account, most of you didn't even know that was a thing, right? It used to be that having a business ad account had no real advantage to having a personal ads account. They did the same thing. It was just the business side was, hey, I've got a lot of employees. We've got a lot of pages. We've just got a lot of robust stuff going on. I need a more powerful platform to work in, right? That used to be it. But because of this special ad categories, one of the big changes has been that in your personal ad account, the one that is tied to your business page and has always been tied to your business page, you can no longer upload a database, period. So if you click on audiences and try to build a custom audience and you choose that customer list option, it's going to tell you you've got to switch over to a business manager. So it's not that, to the assistant's point, it's not that you can't run housing ads. It's that your personal ads account has been restricted in terms of what it can and can't do. So your solution is, Terry, you need to go to business.facebook.com. business.facebook.com, and you need to set up a business manager. Now, I'm sure there's probably a lot of Tom Ferry coaching members watching right now. Tomorrow, for all of our clients inside of our software, I'm doing a 90-minute deep dive presentation on setting up a business manager. If you want access to that, there's a link in the bio on my Instagram account. If you click that link, it'll go. If you're not a member, you can become a member if you want. And I'm doing that tomorrow afternoon, I think at like 1 p.m. Pacific, somewhere around that time. Don't quote me. There's a link in my bio on Instagram. You can click it. And if you want to be a member, right? But we're going to do a super deep dive on the business manager and then a deep dive the next day. So we're doing 2 in a row, 90-minute sessions each. The next one's on the ads manager. So I hope that answers your question. The answer is just really simple. You can still upload a database to your Facebook ads account so long as your ads account is managed in a business manager. And you can do it. It can be a housing ad. You can still do that. It's just, it has to be done in the business manager. Okay. Breathe, Jason. I got some comments. Let's see what's coming in. Let's see. These are questions. I want to try to get these to the end. I'm just scanning through. Alice did ask, will we have access to this video again? So much good info. Thank you. And yes, I will repost this. It will be on Facebook and YouTube as soon as they give me the replay. Okay. All right. Let's go back to my questions. I have no idea where I left off. Let's see. All right. Next one up. This one comes from Jeffrey Scott. How can I get more active buyers and sellers off of Instagram? He's using KCM Daily, Keeping Current Matters, great content. And he's giving, it sounds like he's giving a lot of positive info, a lot of constructive knowledge broker type of info. Jeffrey, I appreciate the question. I happened to scan through your Instagram profile before. I looked at it last night. And what I noticed is I didn't see your face very much. I didn't see you. When I think about when I think about agents who are just dominating on Instagram, like I'm thinking about Aaron and Krista Farr. They're in Spokane. They generate close to 40 deals a year off of Instagram alone. Taya DeCarlo, a lot of business coming in off Instagram. Andrew Jevin, a lot of business coming in off of Instagram. And I look at how they manage their Instagram accounts. It's very much a personal brand. And I am of a mind, and this is my opinion, that every agent, whether they like it or not, is running a personal brand. And when it comes to like social media, it's time to be a social media influencer. It's kind of time to step up your game and be a personal brand. And Jeffrey, not dogging you, man, because I know you're hustling out there for sure, but I could sure stand to see a lot more of your face on video, a lot more of your face in photos, a lot more of you putting your personal brand in front of me. What I believe that's going to do is create stickiness in terms of how you market yourself online. You're giving people good content, but I want them to personally connect with you on social. So my 10 cents is more video, more you being the brand, the voice, the face on your own profiles, okay? Everything is using this camera, not this camera, if you catch my drift. Let's go to the next one. On Facebook forms, so we're talking about lead form ads, right? We've been talking about that. If I ask for 1, phone number only versus 2, phone and email, is there a cost difference for 2 versus 1? I'm going to reformat this question for us a little bit. So this is a good question. So when you do a Facebook lead form, you can decide, like they click the button that says learn more or sign up or whatever button it says in the ad. Depends upon what you're doing, right? I use the lead form ad as an example for a new listing or for an open house. It doesn't matter. Whatever, it could be for a virtual seminar, don't care. Anything you're using it for. I can customize the form and I can add headlines and text and descriptions and all kinds of stuff, but I can also decide what are the questions they have to answer. And it's elaborate. If you've ever set up like a Google form, for instance, you can even do conditional responses. Well, if they answer this one this way, then it goes here. But if they answer it that way, it goes here. I can create elaborate forms. When you open up what's called the instant form section in Facebook, it's going to ask you out of the gate, what matters to you? Do you want higher intent or more volume? Those are their terms, higher intent or more volume. And what they mean is more volume means, hey, do you want more leads? Or do you want fewer leads that are of higher intent? That's what they're asking you. Here's the way this works. The more questions you ask, you are naturally going to weed people out who are not willing to give that much information. But the ones who remain, you're scoring a higher intent. They have higher intent because they're willing to answer more questions, which means they're going to also be more expensive leads. For example, it's harder for me to give you my name, number, email address, and physical address than it is just my email address. I'm having to give up more access to me, which implies more intent in whatever the offer is inside of your ad. If it's open house, because I want to go see the virtual tour, if it's getting access to the new listing, the more I'm willing to give up of my own information suggests the more intent I have to receive your offer. Now, doesn't mean it's going to be that way for sure. It's just a principle, right? And it's a logical principle. So your question is, hey, if I just ask for a phone number only versus a phone and email, am I going to pay more for one than the other? And the answer is probably so. If I want 2 pieces of contact info, it's probably going to cost me more. However, I would say you've kind of got your order backwards. I would say people are going to be always, this is just my 10 cents, less likely to give up a phone number than they are an email. So I would say if you're going to ask for a phone number, you might as well ask for an email too. But if you're only going to ask for an email, then asking for a phone number in addition to that email probably will have a weeding out effect. But it will also mean higher intent leads, presumably, ones that are more responsive. Facebook leads are considered very early stage, very top of the funnel. So they're relatively cheap. And right now they're extremely cheap because Facebook ads are practically on sale right now. So killer question, but the basic principle is the more questions you ask, the more you are naturally weeding people out of the process. And thus, who remains? Higher quality leads, but I had to spend more to get to them. I hope that makes sense. Let's keep rolling. All right, next one. This one is, how can I open a Google business account for free? This is very easy. I assume what you're referring to, it's only free. I don't think you can pay for a Google business account. I assume you mean a Google My Business account. Google My Business is, if I Google, just for instance, Heather Klompmaker, Michigan Realtor, something like that, she's watching, I think. If I Googled her, right, on the right-hand sidebar, I'm pretending I'm on desktop. In fact, we'll give it a test, shall we? Let's share my screen. All right, so you guys should see my screen. So if I go to Google, right, and I'm going to do, I know I'll get this one. Let's go Heather Klomp, can't type, Klompmaker, Michigan Realtor. I should trigger it. There it is. Beautiful. So I see all of her links over here, but on the right-hand sidebar, this is called a Google My Business. It's where her reviews go. It's where I can link to her website, photos, hours of operation, all that kind of stuff, right? Pulls in Facebook profiles, YouTube, Twitter, etc. People also search for. This is a Google My Business. The way you get one is you go to Google, you Google My Business. Like this. And you go right here. And you say add or claim your business. That's it. So add or claim your business. If you're talking about a Google advertising account, you go to ads.google.com. So ads.google.com will take you here, and you create a Google ad account for running ads on Google. But this is also free. The ads are not free. The account is free. All right, enough of that. Let me go back here and stop my screen sharing. Okay, let's go to the next one. Actually, I'm going to peek at your comments real quick. It did show up, Heather. Woo, it showed up. Good times. All right, back to questions. Next one on my list is lead generation. Someone said to me, social is the shop, Google is the street, correct? Maybe. I think that makes, let me ponder these musings. Social is the shop, Google is the street. No offense, I really have no idea what that means. Maybe I'm thick. I don't know what that means. But we're talking about lead generation. I gather that much. I would put it like this. I would actually almost reverse the order based on intent. I'm thinking about it. So let's think about a Facebook ad versus let's think about a Google ad. So Google search ads. If I go on Google, homes for sale nearby. If I type this in, right? Are you kidding me? Nobody's running ads? Nashville, where I live. If I go homes for sale, Nashville, are you kidding me? Nobody's running ads? Buy these ads. Nashville TN. There we go. Come on. All right, do you see the ads right here? I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm stupid. Let me share my screen. Hang on. Coming up. All right, I got to show you what happened. So I just did homes for sale Nashville, and I didn't get any ads. Nobody's running ads right now on that. Then I added TN, and I got ads. How absurd. Buy the ads. So I just did homes for sale Nashville, Tennessee, right? I searched that. I searched it. It's my query. And then I see ads from Beezer and HomeGo and all this kind of stuff here. Nashville, Home Hunter. These are people running ads, right? And then the organic results show up here. It's Zillow. They've got a hub page for Nashville real estate, all that kind of stuff, right? So I see this. These are ads. If I click this ad, it says something about me. If I click this and go here, I came looking for that ad. I searched it out versus on Facebook, I'm scrolling, right? Oh, and an ad, homes for sale Nashville. I wonder. And I click it, right? I still clicked it in Facebook, but I was only scrolling through my news feed. I wasn't searching for it, not directly. On Google, I appear to have been searching for it because I triggered the ad based upon my keywords. That is higher intent. And so historically, we know that Google produces, they're lower in the funnel, meaning let's go back to that lead funnel, right? Top, middle, bottom. I am narrowing down. Google leads, Bing leads, Yahoo leads, any kind of a search ad lead tends to be more further along because they came seeking out the ad. Versus on Facebook, it tends to produce top of funnel leads because like there's a picture of my grandma, there's a kitty cat, and then there's an ad for what's my home worth. I wonder. I click it. It's way more haphazard. That's the main point. So when I go back to StreamYard, when I go back here and it says lead generation, social is the shop, Google is the street. I'm not really sure what that means. So I may be missing the point. I apologize if I am, but I would almost reverse it. Social is the street. Google is when I walk into the shop. I came looking for it, right? So I would say Google's higher intent, social's lower intent, which means if I'm running ads on Facebook and I'm trying to drive traffic to my website or generate leads, typically I'm going to do better with offers that are much softer offers, right? Less direct of an offer. So for example, I'm not going to run an ad that says book a showing for this house today on Facebook. Why? Because no one's going to, well, that's not an ad I would run today, period, just because of everything happening. But in general, allow me if I could to make the point, that would be like, no, there's no way I'm going to break what I'm doing. I'm just on Facebook killing time right now. I'm not of the mind. Maybe I am, but it'd be a diamond in the rough. It'd be random if I were to go see the property versus on Google, I'm seeking something out, right? So I think that's enough commentary on that one. Let me jump to the next. Ryan Sells, New York City. What's up, man? How can I do an Instagram live and Zoom at the same time? Please help. When I go on Insta Live, mine and my guest followers cannot log in. All right, Ryan, here's the sad news, my friend. You can't. There is, I take it back. You can go live on Insta, so for example, I'm using a service called StreamYard right now. And StreamYard is right now, should be, I'm assuming it's working. It should be multicasting into Facebook, on my page, and onto YouTube. You cannot stream into Instagram. It's a violation of it. In fact, if you go to the FAQ of StreamYard, they tell you they can't do it because it violates the terms of Instagram. Now, there's a service out there. I'm not going to name it. There is a service out there that can be bolted on to some of these like Zoom and StreamYard and Be Live types of providers that allows them to kind of work their way backdoor into Instagram. But I wouldn't do it. It's a violation of their terms and services. And the last thing I want to do is violate the terms of Instagram. No thanks. So the way that people go live on Instagram and on other platforms, the way they do it the right way is I call it the pitchfork, where they've got a stand that holds multiple iPhones or multiple, I guess, Samsungs, whatever. So you've got one that's on YouTube, one that's on Facebook, one that's on Instagram. Like Tom Ferry has one of these, and this videographer walks around with it, and they're all live on their respective platforms through the mobile device. With Instagram, though, my 10 cents is just, if you're going to go Instagram Live, just go Instagram Live and just be there. Because the other thing about Instagram Live is where it shows up. You see, on Instagram, when I'm live, it shows up in the stories across the top versus on Facebook, it's in the feed versus on YouTube, it's in a feed of some form, right? So because of that, I would say Instagram needs to be its own thing. I hope that helps. It's not what you want, but it's the truth. Realtor2 says, Facebook lead generation tactics for sellers. All right, so let's see what's behind this. What this is asking is, hey, I'm looking for basically offers I can make to lead generate for sellers. I'm thinking, here's my go-to thought. 65% of buyers are sellers. I'll say it again. 65% of buyers are sellers. And it is like, and I'll say it to you another way. What is the first thing, just thinking it out logically, what's the first thing that a seller would do that would be an indication of his or her intent to sell a house? And I would argue that usually, not always, they're going to search for houses. Where are they going to move to? And that's going to be the impetus behind why they want to sell. They want to sell because they found something else or they want to go get something else. And they're looking at the thing they want to go buy. 65% of buyers are sellers. Now, would they run a search? What's my home worth? They might. Would they do a Google search for best realtor in an area? They might. So I would say a couple of things. One, I would double down on buyer lead gen. And in my follow-up, I would be a lot more strategic about eliciting who needs to sell. Those could be outgoing referrals and or listings I pick up. I'd be very clear about that. Having a special package of, hey, don't miss this. I'm thinking of Heather Klontmaker. Man, I loved the post you did today. It was how to sell your home sell without any showings was the whole thing. Like that's sticky, right? Because that appeals to a need or a desire of so many sellers right now. I would also say you need to step up your review game. One thing that somebody will do when they're in the market for an agent, I'm going to say that again, not when they're thinking about selling. Yeah. But when they're in the market for an agent, if they don't have a personal referral, they're going to probably go on Google or Zillow or LinkedIn, and they're going to read through reviews. So I would say step up your review game. Get lots of reviews, get them often, keep them fresh, make them specific, reply to them. You want raving fans. It's also a matter of priming your database. If you want more listings, man, hey, who's the agent you use to sell your house? Like that's the kind of conversation happening amongst friends. And you want your past clients, your sphere of influence to think you've got to use Realtor 2. They were awesome, right? You want them thinking along those lines. So as far as seller lead gen, like I'm going to be thinking about referrals. How do I get those? I want to get those calls off reviews. I know a lot of agents who don't pay $1 for Zillow, but they get a bunch of Zillow leads. Ever heard an agent say that before? What does that mean? It means they've got reviews on Zillow. And somebody is naturally finding them in the results and they like their reviews. They like their bio. So I would say step up your profiles, your Google My Business, LinkedIn recommendations, your Facebook page and reviews, and Zillow reviews, Realtor reviews. All that stuff is super important right now. Seller lead generation. Let me think if I have anything else that I would say to you. I'm seeing a lot of people run some pretty cool, this is really your prerogative, but I've seen some ads that I thought were pretty cool. I've seen a lot of agents talking about their virtual selling process. Again, I mentioned Heather. Heather Klontmaker is doing this right now. She's creating content that specifically caters to sellers who want to sell, but they really don't want anybody in their house right now. So what's your process to do that remote and virtually, right? Now, that requires some innovation and some resourcefulness on your part, but to me, that's a smart move. Let me just check the feed real quick, see what you guys are saying. Let's see. All right, I'll come back to all those. I'll come back to all that stuff here in a little bit. All right, let's do these questions that were, and just the questions I'm using were ones that people gave me over the weekend. So just in the future, follow me on Instagram. I'm Jason Pantana on Instagram. Follow me there. And I post stories where I'm asking for questions, and that's where I'm sourcing most of my questions from. But again, like DM me, private message me, that's fine too. Put a comment here and I'll look for it before the next one. And I just create a list and I upload them in here into StreamYard. All right, next question. I got to hustle, run low on time here. Let's see. How to best mobilize views and followers on social media. I don't know if this word is supposed to be mobilize. I think the word is supposed to be monetize. Let me reflect on this for a second. How to best mobilize. I assume it means monetize views and followers on social media. Or how to best achieve. I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer this question. I'm just going to answer the way I want to answer it. Let's pretend the question says how to get views and followers on social media. Let's pretend that's what it is. How to get views and followers on social media. The answer is, and this is my truthful answer, is be committed to creating great content on a regular basis. You are running a personal brand. And I know that's a super qualitative, like fluffy platitude of an answer, but it is the answer. I remember there was a point in I remember thinking I need to get more followers. What's the easiest way to get more followers? Buy them, but don't do that. Buying followers is never a smart move. It's so obvious when it's being done. Don't buy followers. I remember thinking like, I got to get more followers. And I found myself at one point so concerned about getting more followers that rather than focusing on providing really great content to reward the people who had already followed me, I was just worrying about getting more followers. But it's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And in this case, I would say what comes first is the audience you already have. If you make your sole mentality to provide more information, more value-packed content to put in front of them, people are going to want in on the action and they're going to naturally follow you. However, beyond that, I would say we teach this at our Marketing Edge seminar, which is one of our Tom Ferry events. We talk about 6 buckets or 6 categories of content. They are Real Me, Knowledge Broker, Hyperlocal, Social Proof, agent behind the scenes, and buzzworthy, which is sort of bonus. I'm not going to go into great detail, but we teach basically at Marketing Edge with our Tom Ferry coaching clients, our focus is on, we want to help you build out that personal brand, because that's what social media is. It's a personal branding world. How can we make you an influencer, a leader in your local marketplace? And so that means I got to see your face on video. I got to see you on photos. It's got to be your perspective, your content. You need to be a thought leader on social if you want to monetize it to the fullest effect. So how do I get more views and more followers? It boils down to your ability to empathize. What are the questions people are asking? Am I creating content that's on par? And to me, one of the best ways to get that is to be part of a network with other agents who are crushing their social media game. Frankly, it's why I love our Tom Ferry ecosystem, because there are so many rock stars who are creating great content. And we have this policy or principle. It's sort of an underlying guideline. We call it R&D, rip off and duplicate, meaning you need to monitor regularly, do the research on your competitors / your peers, what's working for them. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, you can do it with their ads too. It's not just what they post on social. You can actually spy and see what ads any page is running, period. For example, if I go to, you should be able to see my screen. If I go to facebook.com/ads/library, it pulls up this whole search portal. Check this out. And I can see, let's go see what ads is Zillow running right now. Oof, I pull it up. I'm in the US. You can look at just electoral issue, political things, right? But it's full transparency, right? And I can scroll and see all the ads they're running. Just scroll until I get bored. I've never made it to the bottom. Watch. It's going to load a whole new bunch of rows. That's a pretty house, right? So you can just see what other people are doing that works. To me, that's a way, because it boils down to, you've got to have great content. How do I get great content? Well, I'm in touch with my people who are following me. What are their questions? How can I add value? And I'm seeking out new ways to do that. And I'm also looking and monitoring what are other people doing that's working for them. Let's go to another. I got a couple more left, and then we'll go into your chat, and then we're going to be done. Okay, where am I at? That's not the right button. This is the right button. Felipe Properties said, what is the most effective marketing for an agent to gain credibility? That's a, wow. Like, let me think about how I want to answer this. What is the most effective marketing, bar none, the best for an agent to gain credibility? Well, the answer there to me is frankly obvious. Just sold. It's always, if I want credibility, if I want proof, it's always the most effective, right? At Marketing Edge, the seminar I just mentioned, we talk about geographic farming. And I ask the audience, I say, what is the single-handedly greatest form marketing channel available to you? And the answer is a sold sign and a front lawn. Every time. Why? Because it's proof. Somebody else hired you and you got the job done, right? That is, so like, I'm just going to use this to work my logic out. What's the most effective marketing for an agent to gain credibility? The answer is just sold. It's proof. And the next answer, it has to be obvious, is reviews. Listen, if clients are talking about you or giving testimonials on video, text, whatever, reviews, that has to be the next most effective, right? Because it's not what you say, it's what they say. And that makes all the difference, right? Your brand isn't who you say you are. It's who people say you are based upon your reputation. And so what does that look like? My reputation in the marketplace from a production standpoint, just sold, right? How am I performing? My reputation from my past clients, my friends, my sphere. These are all elements of proof. So and that may be discouraging for a new agent. So what's the most effective marketing for, let's rephrase the question. What's the most effective marketing for a new agent to gain credibility? There's a different question, right? For a new agent to gain credibility, let's pretend that's the question. And my answer would be, I'm thinking it through. The most effective marketing. I'm going to suggest that it's probably a market update video series. I know that sounds boring and stale. You don't have to make it boring and stale. I've seen very exciting market update videos. Have you ever watched Whitman Wisdom with Tyler Whitman? There is nothing about that series that isn't exciting to watch. So just because I say market update videos or being a knowledge broker doesn't mean that it's stale or boring, right? It boils down to how do you do it? What's your spin on it? But I would say, show me your knowledge, right? It's real me, knowledge broker, hyper local, agent behind the scenes, social proof, and buzzworthy, right? So I would say You need a once a week, probably video show minimum. You could test doing what I'm doing, right? What am I doing? I am considering going live, not considering, planning to go live every week just to do Q&A. Like that could be what you do. Why? Because I was getting a lot of questions and I was like, there's got to be a better way to answer these than just one at a time. Here we are doing it this way. I think that answers your question. I hope. Let's go to this last one. Then I'm going to go to the comments and see what else is kind of hanging in the balance. Here we go. This one says, what is the best way to target my farm area in online leads? What is the best way to target my farm area? Just for those watching who don't know, a farm it's a specific geographic area where if I looked at a map, it could be a zip code, it could be a subdivision or a neighborhood or a series of streets or a couple of buildings. It's some type of a location-based geographic area. And the question Jody is asking here is, what's the best way to target that area in online ads? The answer is complicated because it depends upon how big or small your farm is. If your farm is like a metro market area and you target a whole county, for instance, well, that's easy. Facebook, Instagram ads. But the challenge is because of that special ad classification, that lawsuit between National Fair Housing Alliance and Facebook, because of that, Facebook was smacked in the settlement. And if you classify your ad as under housing, which you probably should, I don't know that there's an ad you could run really that doesn't fall under that unless you have a separate business. But I don't want to be quoted on that. So there could be extenuating. Anyways, I'm moving on. Because of that lawsuit, you're required to specify a 15-mile radius area, which could be well beyond the borders of your farm. So I would still say the best platform for running ads today is still Facebook and Instagram. Instagram by extension of Facebook still. So let's rephrase the question. How do I get around the fact that my target area extends well beyond the boundaries of my farm? I'm going to give you a couple of hacks. You might want to write these down. First one is create ads that use specific objectives or campaign objectives that allow you to change how you pay for the ads. See, normally when you run an ad, if you boost it or go into the ads manager, whatever, they're normally billing you based upon impressions. What's an impression? An impression is the number of times your ad, that is your post, was seen. So like, let's say that it was a reach of 1,000 people. That means 1,000 people saw it, but I might have had 1,500 impressions, which means those 1,000 people, some of them saw it more than once because it had more impressions than it had reach. So impressions is the number of times that piece of content, the ad, the post, whatever you want to call it, is seen, period. Seen for how long? Scrolled past it, stopped and looked at it, liked it, hearted it, doesn't matter. I'm paying for impressions. That's a tough pill to swallow because, man, if my farm area is a neighborhood and I'm targeting a 15-mile radius, right? That's a pretty expansive area, well beyond my area. So in the ads manager of Facebook, you can change your objectives. If you use, I'm going to give you 3 objectives. These are the only 3 that allow you to change when you get billed for a Facebook ad. The first one is video views. I can specify that I'm only going to pay for what are called through plays. If I do a video, that means that the person has to watch at least 15 seconds and or the whole thing, my whole video. To get someone, just for record, to get someone to watch 15 seconds of your video, people don't, on Facebook, they're scroll happy, right? So if they stop for 15 seconds, they stopped on purpose, right? There's intent behind that action. So video views. The other one is traffic, specifically link clicks. You can change it to where you're only, this is a biggie, right? Listen to this. You can change it to where you're only paying for link clicks, not for impressions, which means, so what? The impressions are free. I'm only paying for the link clicks. The last one is, this one's more complicated. It's called conversions. Conversions means you've hooked your pixel into your website and you've actually coded out what are called custom, they're called custom conversions or conversion events, whereby you want to train your pixel to monitor when people fill out forms and stuff and actually go lead capture on your website. And you can actually pay it whereby there's a completed conversion on your website. But that's pretty complicated for most folks. So I'd say the 2 are video views and traffic, where video views, I can only pay for through plays in the ads manager. And then traffic, I can only pay for cost per click, right? So that helps at least reduce spending unnecessarily for people who really have no interest in my farm area, right? The other thing is, I think a lot of advertisers on Facebook overlook the power of that learning algorithm. Facebook deploys, like if you've ever run an ad on Facebook, you'll see that it's still in learning sometimes. What does that mean? Well, Facebook, like you tell Facebook, here's the result I want. I want traffic, just for instance. And then Facebook, then you build the ad out. Who am I going to target? What are my conditions, et cetera? And then Facebook enters into the first phase is learning. They're trying to figure out who's going to perform. Who's the kind of person I have to go after? Sidebar. This is why you shouldn't, I don't believe you should, I don't think you should use a cost control. Like I don't want to say, hey, Facebook, you can't spend more than this much on a link click or whatever. And the reason is because during the learning phase, for like that first day, Facebook may have to pay more money to get the result so that they can learn how to go find people that give them better results. I don't want to restrict that learning process. That's a sidebar. Main point. Main point is in the copy of your ad, the caption. So for example, like if I'm creating an ad of, let's say it's just listed, or maybe it's open house, I might include in the copy, I might say something like, thinking about buying a home, ? Searching for a home, ? I might use that kind of language and then go on with it. Now, a couple of things. Notice I didn't say, are you thinking about searching for a home? I'm trying to avoid the word you and your at all costs because Facebook looks at that and they're like, stop wagging your finger at people. To them, it looks exclusionary and they're a very inclusive social network, right? So I avoid words like you and they and things that imply I'm pointing or wagging a finger or could, right? Because Facebook has a sentiment analysis review process and they'll analyze your copy and make sure it's not going to make people feel bad about themselves. There's a lot more I could say on that. I'm not going to get into it. But I said searching for a home or something along those lines. Why? Because I'm telling Facebook who I want. I'm telling them I want people who are searching for homes. So I probably could say, if my neighborhood was Sylvan Park, I could say, living in Sylvan Park, do you own, I'm going to have to say you on this one. Do you own a home in Sylvan Park? I could use that kind of language pattern. And theoretically, I'm telling Facebook who I'm after in the algorithm so that they can learn. In fact, what a lot of people have said is, man, I create these ads, but the only people who ever see them are other realtors. And now I can't exclude realtors because of the fair housing changes, the whole special ad category. Well, then tell Facebook who you want to see it. Hey, home searchers, tell them who you want to see it, right? In the copy and count on their learning algorithm. So back to this question from Jody. The question is, what is the best way to target my farm with online ads? My answer is still going to be killer content. I cannot step away from great content, period. There's no offer I can make to somebody. If the offer sucks, the ad sucks. The results will suck. You need great content first. Two, I'm still going to say Facebook and Instagram are where my money is. However, I would also be looking at YouTube ads. I'd be looking at Google search is always good. I need to look right now. Google search appears to have been more hindered by the COVID-19 stuff. It appears to have hurt their search results a little bit more as far as ad traffic goes. I haven't looked in over a week, so those numbers could have changed. But when I looked, and I usually use WordStream for their benchmarks, they got great benchmarks. When I looked, they were reporting that YouTube and Google Display Network were doing very well. And then, of course, Facebook and Instagram, like the whole world's on those right now. So I would be putting my ads there. So answer, Jody, best place to target my farm, Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Google Display Network. If you don't know what Google Display Network is, it is when you surf the web and you see banner ads, like long and skinny, tall and skinny, square ones that pop up at you as you go to random websites. If you've ever wondered who puts those ads there, the answer is Google does. They're called the Google Display Network, and they work pretty darn well right now too. Okay, so that answers that question. I've got like 2 minutes, and then I have a hard stop. So let me go to the comments and just grab one or two of these if I could. Okay, let me just I'm just scrolling through. Muhammad asks, as a new realtor, what's your suggestion on digital marketing? Man, be the knowledge broker. Learn and step up and add value. Be a knowledge broker. Let's keep going. How to get Facebook Live videos saved on camera roll to use on other platforms. When you're in Facebook, go to desktop Facebook, find your post, your Facebook Live, click the ... ellipses in the top right and click download. Done. Next one. This one's from Zach Kennedy. Regarding your last Facebook post, which if you want to go to my Instagram or my Facebook page, I'm assuming you're referring to the work the list, not the leads post. Yeah, you are referring to that one. It says, how can we encourage agents to stick with long-term vision once online lead flow starts coming in? Regarding your last Facebook post, can you give some more details about working the list rather than the leads? How can we encourage agents to stick with long-term vision once online lead flow starts coming in? To me, I'd be focused, man, on what's your social media game plan? What's your email game plan? How are you adding value to your database? Because the same way I add value to my database is the way in which I'm going to add value to my own leads, right? I'll retarget them in custom audiences with that same content. I will include them in my email distribution list with that same content. I'm going to add value that way. And so by extension, by doing that, it's the long-term vision, right? Because it's the long game. That's what it is. All right, I have a hard stop. I got to jump. Leave a comment. Tag a friend who you want to watch this. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for tuning in the whole time. Listen, if you want to be a part of our pivot program and you're not, go to my Instagram. There's a link in the bio. Jump in if you're not a part of that program or a coaching member with Tom Ferry. And we're doing some deep dive Facebook ads over the next 2 days and a lot of other fun stuff. All right, you guys are awesome. Let me figure out how to make that go away. Have a wonderful day. Jason Pantana signing out. Would love to connect with you. Look forward to the next marketing stream. Thanks. Bye.